We've done a lot, but we're going to keep going. I don't want us to stop. And I want to now show you how the browser goes from a source HTML document to displaying a styled and interactive page in the viewport. I know we keep referring to this entire process as a rendering process, but the more correct technical terminology is to call it the critical rendering path. So right now, I just want us to take a step back and I want to show you what the critical rendering path looks like at a very high level bird's eye view. What is the first step? Well, the first stage involves the browser parsing the document, your HTML, to determine what will ultimately be rendered onto the page. The second stage involves the browser performing the actual render. So how does this look? So we know we've got HTML. This is what you and I are used to writing. What happens next? Well, the first step is for the rendering engine to parse the HTML document and convert that code into DOM nodes in a tree called the content tree. But at the same time, and not many people realize this, the engine will also parse the style data. The styling information, together with the visual instructions in the HTML, will be used to create another tree, the CSS tree. And finally, the DOM tree and the CSS tree are combined to form the render tree. So that's our goal. Our goal is to get from the HTML, which you see, to the render tree. And to get to that end state, both the DOM and the CSS have to be created. And what's our next goal? Well, the next goal is to actually display that data on a screen. In our case, we've got an H1 tag called critical rendering path. That needs to be displayed onto our browser. How does that happen? We've said the first step is to construct this render tree. And after the construction of this tree, it goes through a layout process. This means giving each node the exact coordinates where it should appear on the screen. And the next stage is painting. The render tree will be traversed and each node will be painted using the UI backend layer. And it's important to understand that this entire process is gradual. For better user experience, the rendering engine will try to display content on the screen as soon as possible. It won't always wait until the HTML is parsed before starting to build and lay out the render tree. Parts of the content will be parsed and displayed while the process continues and the rest of the content keeps coming from the network. And just remember what I said, this whole process is technically called the critical rendering path. And it's important for us to understand it because it will make us better developers.